For small businesses out there, social media management can be a nightmare. There are so many different networks out there. How can you possibly keep up with distributing content to all of them? There's Facebook, Twitter, Google+, LinkedIn, and about a million others that no one ever uses. So how do you easily distribute without leaving one behind? Well, that's where Hootsuite comes into play. It's a great way to bring all of your streams together into one central command center. And today we're going to show you how to use it and also give you a few tips and tricks along the way. Here it is, our class on Hootsuite, coming up next on PCClassesOnline.com.
Hello everyone and welcome to the class. Today we are talking all about Hootsuite. This is a great little solution for anyone out there who has to deal with social media, especially multiple social media accounts, and just wants a simple way to organize it. I've been using Hootsuite for a while now. They have different plans. They have a kind of a free account. They have a pro plan, which is what I use currently, and then they have a higher end, a business enterprise version. They don't list the pricing for that. But if you go to Hootsuite.com, you can go here to plans and you can kind of see a breakdown of the differences between them. For a lot of small businesses that are out there, they're going to be in either the free or the pro category. Really for enterprise, you're just kind of dealing with very large organizations. The major difference between the free and the pro account right here is how many social profiles can you link together. So with the free version, you can have up to 3. So for example, you could have Facebook, you could have Twitter and LinkedIn. And then with Pro, you can have 50 included, and you can actually go up to 100. The Pro plan is $10 a month. I do believe they have you pay for that all in advance, so you pay for the year up front. But it's a great solution. It's very easy to use. One of the things I noticed, I taught this class live earlier this week. By the way, right now we are live. We have people tuning in from all over. But one of the things I noticed in the comments that people were leaving was that a lot of people found Hootsuite to be pretty intimidating. And I can understand that. It can look to be that way. But hopefully over the course of this class, I'm going to make it a little bit easier to follow. So let's get right into it. And by the way, over the course of this class, I'm also going to be giving you a lot of extra tips and tricks. Normally, I store those for the very end. For this particular class, because of how I have this class designed, they're going to kind of end up somewhere in the middle, just to help you out because, frankly, they really help me out, and I think they might help some of you out as well, especially those of you who use either iPhones, Android, etc. So here we go. When you go into Hootsuite, this is what your screen looks like. Here on the left-hand side, you have up here kind of your profile, your streams, which is one of the main screens, publisher, which is where you're going to put together messages that are going to go out to multiple social networks. And then we have a whole bunch of other options here. This is going to be a basic class. We're not going over the really advanced, seriously advanced features of Hootsuite. That being said, this is one of those online applications that you can really, you can make it however big you want it to be. I mean, these guys don't just integrate with Facebook. They also integrate with Zendesk, Salesforce, Yammer, some of the really high-end pro tools that are going to be very helpful to, again, those enterprise type businesses. So I want to kind of show you what it looks like. Let's go into Streams right here, and this is what mine looks like. Now, within Streams, basically, you have these different categories here, and you scroll horizontally. So if I go over here, you're going to see we have all these different columns. For example, for me, because of what I do, I typically keep, this is an app called VidRocket. It's YouTube analytics, so I can just kind of see how all of my different videos are doing. This one I released last night. And so far, it's gotten 34 comments. So I can kind of monitor those videos, see how they're doing. The next one I brought in here is Twitter. And don't worry, I'm going to show you how to set all of this up. And in fact, I'm going to kill my dummy tab, which is from the other day. So then what you can do is, for example, you can bring in different elements of social media. For example, in the case of Twitter, I didn't really care so much to see what tweets my followers were putting out for this application. I wanted to see what mentions we were getting. So usually in our case, again, because of what we do, it's when people like one of our videos on YouTube, it tells me which one it is. And no real surprise, a lot of these are the one that I just put out. New followers, you can see who your new followers are. You can also see, in this case, their most recent tweet. Scrolling over further, I brought in a few different streams. That's, by the way, what all of these are referred to. These are all streams from Facebook. So, for example, this one right here is our wall post from Facebook, private messages from Facebook. Scroll over a little bit more. Activity, which is going to encompass some of that other stuff. LinkedIn, okay? So I can see what LinkedIn updates have come out. I admit very openly, I'm not like a giant LinkedIn fan, partially because I'm not exactly looking for a job, but it's a great solution certainly for people who do need that kind of thing. And then I have another little YouTube app that I've just kind of been playing with, which are the people who I subscribe to. So let's go over how to set it up. If you look here at the very, very top, okay, see it says PC Classes Online? These are what are referred to as your tabs. And you can have, for example, you could have one tab for Facebook. You could do it that way. Or you could have maybe one tab for personal items and one for business. Some people out there who are social media managers will have one tab for each client of theirs. So you can really customize this however you want. Let's go over how to set this up, since this is really the first thing you're going to end up doing. I'm going to hit that little plus symbol, and we're going to create a brand new tab. And so it's going to ask me, where is my content going to be coming from? I can either add in additional social networks. So if I click on that, let's change it over. Add a new social network. Here we go. We have Twitter, Facebook, Google+, LinkedIn, Foursquare, WordPress, or Mixi, which I'd never even heard of until this. So the most common ones, of course, are the first four that you see here. So when you hit connect, it's just going to launch a page to log into your Facebook, Twitter, Google+ account, whatever it may be, so that you can connect the two. And basically, you're just authorizing Hootsuite to manage whatever page that may be. And these guys have a very good reputation, so there's really no problems with doing that. Now, in the case of Twitter, right here, remember how I said that you can bring in different elements of each social network? This is what it looks like. So I can tell it, just show me, my Twitter feed, basically. Mentions, retweets, lists, direct message inbox, etc. Okay? So let's just kind of start to recreate what I had. Let's do mentions. It automatically opens up a new stream. So now I can bring in from my social networks. But here's the other thing, and this is one of my favorite elements of Hootsuite, partially because this is what I do, but they have apps, okay? And some of these are really, really cool. So some of the apps that they have are free. Others you do have to pay for. But for example, you saw that I had YouTube Analytics, okay, that I can see. That is an app. For whatever reason, I guess partially because you don't post to YouTube really the same way that you post to Twitter or Facebook. You have to upload a video to do it. So for that reason, it's an app. It's not an actual stream. So for example, right here, I can hit add my YouTube Analytics and boom, plops it right in there. Very easy. I'd have to just click here to connect it in. For those of you who let me just remove that. For those of you who use MailChimp, which by the way is who we use for all eBlast services, they also do work with Constant Contact. You can bring that information in here. So if you want to see, for example, what percentage of people opened your last eBlast, you can do that. It's pretty cool. Trend Spotter, I found to be kind of an interesting app. It just looks for trends and lets you know what they are. It can be very good for, again, social media purposes. So that's a little bit about setting up your tabs, and you can put in as many tabs as you want. Let's remove that for now. I want to go over this next one here, which is Publisher, which is really cool. Now you'll see I have one right here, and part of what I love about Hootsuite is they will basically analyze your followers and figure out what is the best time of day to put out any given message, whether it's on Facebook, Twitter, or whatever else it may be. So here's a post that I put together just before this class, just kind of announcing that we're working on a class on If This Then That, and asking people, hey, if you're already a fan, let us know what your favorite recipes are. If you don't know what If This Then That is, then that probably sounded like Greek to you. So don't worry about it. So let's go over how Publisher works. There's a couple of different ways you can do this. The most common way is if you go right up here to the very top. Okay, let me just kind of show you. See how it says 2? I have by default, you can see here I have these 2 pinned, 2 social networks that by default, whenever I compose a message, it will go to both of those locations. So in my case, that would be Twitter and our Facebook page. But I also have a couple others here. I have my personal page, my personal profile rather, on Facebook, and LinkedIn. So usually business-related topics, I'll put those on LinkedIn. They don't usually get a lot of response. Typically, people don't go to LinkedIn for that kind of information, but every now and then I'll put something out there. So then over here on the right-hand side, you can put your message, which can be whatever you want. One of the things that's very nice, of course, Twitter has a limitation for how many characters you can type in. So as I type, which I'm now doing with one hand, so forgive me, it will start to count down your number of available characters, because after all, there's a limitation there. Anytime you have a hyperlink that you need to share, this is kind of cool, although I don't always love it. So, for example, I'm going to be using this article here as an example today. So here's an article that I think maybe our followers would like. There's a couple of different ways that I could share this through Hootsuite. I could, of course, copy the hyperlink to my clipboard and see where here it says add a link. If I paste it, I can just hit with one button, shrink, and there you go. So it's made it so if they click on that, that's the same thing as that big long hyperlink that I just copied and pasted into that field. There's kind of a downside to using this. I'm personally very partial to using Bitly because it's trackable, which for certain information is really handy, especially if you're tweeting out products. But it's an easy way, certainly, to shrink a link, especially if you don't care about tracking information. So I'm going to just remove that. You'll also see here in the bottom right corner, we can attach an image or a file. Okay, it'll do the same thing. It'll just shrink it down. Scheduling. This part is really, really cool. So you can, of course, tell it to just send, and it'll just post it right away to everyone. Auto schedule, which I usually, by the way, have turned on, where it will just, again, it'll calculate when is the best possible time to send out this message, and it'll do it on its own. Pretty cool. Next one here is add location. Okay, so if you want to tag your location, especially like let's say you have a small business with a storefront, you might want to tag your location, just an easy way to get people to look you up. Targeting options and privacy options, something that probably my guess is a lot of you won't use. I would imagine you would use privacy options if you're putting it out to just like your personal account, like this one over here in my case. But it's not so much when you're dealing with a business, since you can't say only show this to certain people. That's not an option. There's something I wanted to mention that is going to sound off topic, but is worth bringing up. So let me just go over that real quickly. Especially for those of you who are here live, a lot of our fans, if you subscribe to our newsletter, which you can do so right through our website, which is free, I put out a notice to everyone recommending that they read this blog article that I had written a few months ago about privacy, where basically it talks about how these companies can track your every single move online. And I recommended a product which I stand by and I use myself called disconnect.me. I'm right now using the Chrome web browser, and you'll see Disconnect right up here at the top right. It's the D icon. One of the things I wanted to mention about Hootsuite, I always try to give you guys the full story rather than just making it, this is not a sales pitch, okay? I don't have a relationship with these people. Here's what I want to show you. That is all the companies right now trying to track me. There are certain features that will not work or will not work well on Hootsuite's site if you block these guys. So, for example, you may have noticed that when I was see here, the little Twitter icon, it doesn't actually have the icon. Watch this. If I hit unblock, everything reloads, and now it looks perfect, right? Some of those things are really harmless, but some of them we just frankly don't know how deep this rabbit hole goes. I have seen as many as 200 to 300 websites trying to track my every single move here. And, you go over some of these names, and some of them, frankly, are very suspicious to me. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying it doesn't look good to me for all of these. So if you want Hootsuite to work well, you kind of have to disable disconnect. So just to review again, if you need to do that, you click on the D icon here, and over here, right now it would normally say, it would say block tracking sites. You'd hit unblock. See how it kind of goes back and forth. And there we go. All right, sorry. Just wanted to go over that. Next thing I want to show you here, this is a really cool feature potentially, and it does seem to get better the more that you use it. Suggestions. So here, let me give you an example, and forgive me, I'm just going to use myself for this case. So one of the things I love about Hootsuite is it will analyze your followers and try to figure out common themes that they all have. So for example, if I go up here to where you see it says settings at the top right, check it out. Suggested topics. So it's looking at all of our followers and seeing what are they typically interested in. 3 keywords: Apple, business, iPhone. No real shocker here. By the way, that actually originally I think said apps, and I changed it to iPhone. No, it said software. My bad. So it's going to use that information to look at articles that are coming out from tons of different news sources, bloggers, etc. And it's going to give you suggestions for articles to pass on to your followers. And keep in mind, the kind of the goal of social media, generally speaking, is engagement. You want these people to interact with you. Social media should not be a monologue. It should be a dialogue as much as possible. So if I look down here, it's saying, oh, look, iPhone 7 release date, display info, and other details. I'm sure that's incredibly accurate information. So if I wanted to actually share this with my followers, I could just literally hit schedule, and boom, it's going to send it out. Okay, it's currently going to send it out tomorrow at 8:45, which it thinks will be the best time to pass on that information. And I will disable that once this class is over because I don't like sharing things that are rumors as much as possible. Notice the next day it says, all these details on the iPhone 6S. Funny, they changed the name of the phone in one day. Anyway, oh, I love this one. Why there will be lines for the $10,000 gold Apple Watch. Those of you who follow me on Twitter may have already heard this. I believe that they should automatically, if you buy an Apple Gold Watch, they should hand you an audit at the same time. Anyway, so that's a little bit about suggestions. Here's the thing. I personally don't love this. I just don't find the sources to be as great as other sources, which I will get to in just a moment. There's a better way to do all of this. Scheduled, okay? This is where it's showing you exactly what scheduled posts you have. So let's say you're going on vacation. You could literally schedule so that it looks like you're at work posting the entire week, even though you're not really there. There's a few other tricks I'll give you for how to do that along the way. So if I want to delete this one, I can just hit delete. Bye-bye. And it's gone. Require approval. This kind of has to do with automatic scheduling. So we're not going to go over that. Next thing I want to do is go over, let's see here, just going over my notes. There's a couple of settings that I would like to mention. So let's go into settings right here. And the first one I want to talk about is preferences right here. Second item down. Just a little piece of advice for those of you who do use Twitter. Check this option. I believe by default it's actually unchecked. You just want to hide promoted tweets. You're using this app for business. You don't need to see promoted tweets. The fact they give you that as an option is pretty cool. Notifications. Here we go. All right. I have found that for whatever reason, maybe it's my computer, don't know. I had turned all of these off and then they magically turn themselves back on. So I don't like to be bugged by this stuff. Some people do, whatever, to each their own. But I don't like alerts every single time someone likes one of my posts. So you can go to this option, uncheck what you wish. Auto schedule. By default, schedule, this is set to 5. And just my own opinion, I tend to think that 5 messages a day is a little bit heavy. Not necessarily for Twitter, but for things like Facebook, that can really kind of overload people and you can start to lose followers that way. So I like to be very careful about respecting other people's privacy. So I think 2 messages a day is respectable. So that's what I do. You can choose to have it only schedule on certain days. So if you want to give, your viewers, Sunday off, you can uncheck that. You can choose between what hours. In my case, this really doesn't mean anything because just we don't have people all in one area. We're literally in over 170 countries right now. I want to go over some of those extra tips and tricks that I wanted to share with you. Especially this deals with posting and finding content. So hope you enjoy this. I've said in the past that my top 2 favorite web browsers are Google Chrome and Safari, which lately has been causing a few little problems on my end. For using Hootsuite, I really only recommend Chrome. Here's the reason why. They make this great little app called Hootlet. It's in its beta right now as of today's date, but it's really cool. It's free. You click Get Hootlet. It will install itself into your web browser, and I want to show you how it works. So let's go back to that story that I was talking about here. And you saw earlier that I copy and pasted this link and I brought it into Hootsuite. Well, you can do that in, oops, no, go back. There we go. You can do that in less steps. Here's how it works. Look up here at the very top right corner of my web browser. See, we have the little owl. If you click on it, boom, it launches kind of a mobile version of Hootsuite. It pulls the title, it shrinks your URL, and right here you can tell it where to post. So here we have my default two, Twitter and Facebook. Okay, and I can do send now, which will put it on all of them immediately, auto schedule, or I can manually choose when to post it. It'll also look at thumbnails that are on the post, and it'll put them into your message, which is pretty cool. So for example, I don't know what that is. I don't really want that one, but hey, that one looks pretty good. So let's hit auto schedule. Done. Wasn't that easy? Remember I was saying earlier that I wasn't so much a fan of suggestions here. I just didn't like the sources necessarily that they're pulling from. The other one I want to kind of turn you on to, two different ways to access this. We've mentioned before this great website and app, which is called Flipboard. And Flipboard, by the way, if you didn't know, they have a new website, so you can make this your homepage. It's actually a really, really nice homepage. And I love it because I'm getting sick of Facebook, frankly. So from here, you can do the same thing. The other part of this that I want to show you, and if you'll give me 2 moments, I'm going to mirror my iPad so that all of you can see it. Once it comes online, here we go. Mirror. And you're all going to know my password now. Voila. All right, let's go full screen so I can show you this. Okay, so here we are right now on my iPad. I want to show you this. If I go into the Flipboard app, which you see at the bottom right corner, really is a very fun little app. So this can pull stories from social media, but also they ask you what topics interest you, and so it can kind of create a magazine based on your taste. By the way, if this sounds familiar, I had done a class a while back on Zeit. Zeit was acquired by Flipboard, and I'm sure they're soon going to just, delete Zeit. So I can go through any of these categories here. Let's see if I can find that same story. I believe it was in emerging technology. Okay. Well, that's okay. We can do a different one. So let's do this story right here. So I'm going to just tap on that story. And I want to show you something here. So see at the very bottom, we have the share button. Okay, that's the little box with the arrow pointed up as it loads this article. If you tap on that, okay, you see this little 3 dots right here? One of the options is Hootsuite. Pretty cool, right? Hootsuite does make a iPhone and iPad app. They actually make 2. One of which I kind of recommend, but one of which I do recommend, the Hootsuite app. The other one that they make, not quite as good. They make this other one here called Suggestions. It's basically the exact same thing as this. It's just in an iPhone, iPad version. Suggestions doesn't work. It works pretty well on the iPhone. It's not actually available for iPad, but it will run the iPhone version on the iPad. So, for example, if I go into it, you see how that's actually an iPhone screen just blown up. So it works pretty good if you're on the go and you want to just say, hey, you know what? It's been a while since I posted any kind of content. It's great for that. But again, frankly, Flipboard is a little bit better, I find, in my own opinion, about getting good content to share with others. Let's see. I do want to mention that Hootsuite does actually produce their own tutorial videos. Everyone's entitled, of course, to their own opinion. I found them to be a little dry, but that's just my opinion. Again, I'm not insulting these guys. I like them. I like what they do. I just like people who have a little bit more of a personality. Let's see here. I'm just going through my notes. I believe that is really everything that I want to go over here with you. So I hope you guys check out Hootsuite. It's a pretty great little app. Again, definitely does work a lot better on Chrome than other web browsers, so check it out. This is David A. Cox with PCClassesOnline.com. For those of you who are here live right now, stick around. I'll answer all of your questions. For those of you who have been tuning in either via YouTube or via our our website, if you don't mind, if you are on YouTube, if you hit that little like button, you are essentially helping other people discover our videos. So we really appreciate it if you do click that. And we'll see you soon. That's all from me, everyone. Class dismissed.